Hey, listeners, and welcome to the You Are Epic podcast. This is where we honour the people who've helped build not just our industry, but our communities. I'm Angela Hucker, and I am so glad that you're here. So, I'm taking the time to sit down with people who've been in construction for years, people who've been through the ups, the downs, and everything in between. You're going to hear real stories of resilience, growth, and moments that shaped who they are. This podcast is for those that want to learn more from people who've been walking this path for some time, and they're helping to lift up others and quietly making a difference along the way. It's also to show you that your journey matters and your voice matters. And in case you've forgotten, you are epic. Let's get into it. So today's guest is Stephen Pepper, one of my favorite work colleagues who I've had the pleasure of doing lots of road trips with. Stephen is a seasoned senior manager with extensive experience in the power and utilities industry. He has a strong background in operations, power transmission, smart grid technology, and business development, and he has spent his career helping shape the future of how we deliver and manage energy. He brings a wealth of hands-on experience to every challenge, whether it's navigating complex infrastructure or leading teams through change. Stephen's got the know-how and steady leadership style that gets results. We're excited to dig into his journey and insights today. So thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
So what we might do to start with is actually find out how long you've actually been in the industry and how did you get started and what's your current role now?
Yeah, this is a long journey. I started back in this industry around about 1986, 1987. So
Wow.
for millennials, that's a long time ago.
Mm.
Back then, I was out on the tools and heavily involved in building substations. And back in the UK, there was an emphasis on installation of high voltage transmission cables underground, working in London, laying oil field cables and the like. And then in 1994, I was asked to have a go at a newfangled opportunity, something called project management that was just coming out, and they wanted a volunteer.
Yes.
1st of May 1994, it all
Wow.
started.
Jeez.
So from then, it's been a journey working through major utility contractors in the UK. I moved to Australia in 2003 to work for what was ETSA Utilities at the time as a senior project manager. Helped with the transition from being a government-owned competitive contracting arm to a fully fledged contracting arm in which is now Enoven, $500 million turnover. And I've spent the last 5 or 6 years going back into mega projects, such as working on Project Energy Connect in New South Wales, building the line between Wagga Wagga and South Australian border. And these days, I'm fortunate enough to be the program director for Powerlink, looking after central Queensland, which involves network reinforcement, network connections, generation via synchronous condensers, and finally loads out to places such as Curtis Island.
Yes. I know Curtis Island well. Been almost 3 years there, so I know that well. So you've got lots of experience with the power sector. So what sort of changes have you seen happen in your time? You've got all these years of experience, decades of experience. What sort of changes have you seen in the industry?
It's interesting the changes in, especially in transmission TNSP world. They're never the first to want to be first to market. They like to sit and watch someone else do things first.
Mm.
And in a number of occasions, they've sat still so long, it's gone full circle and come back to where they are. So they often don't see the need for change. But what is happening globally right at this moment in time, I think it can be termed a COVID hangover. Lots of mega projects are getting the green light all over the globe.
Mm.
And when we look at ourselves as Australia, we think we've got a heap of work,
Mm.
especially in Queensland. We've got something like around 20 billion to spend in the next 10 years.
Mm.
We are really are a little drop in the ocean compared to what's happening internationally.
Yeah.
But we're all still competing for the same resources, whether they be labour, whether they be plant, equipment, transformers, circuit breakers. We tend to join the back of the queue because we're so small. So the challenges that come with that are huge around expectation setting, which has always been the challenge. It's been consistent over the years is setting the expectations and delivering to those expectations. But now we're having to be realistic, and some of the times we're hearing for manufacture are quite scary.
Yes.
So it's been
Yes.
it's a constant. There's always change. We know that, but this COVID hangover is bigger than I think any of us really envisaged at the time.
with the expectations, who's kind of setting those expectations?
Very, very different because now working for the government in Queensland, we're setting expectations which are broadcast by the government and heard by the population of Queensland. We
Mm.
don't want to set any false expectations there. But if you go outside of Powerlink, you start working inside a private corporation, you're dealing with shareholders' expectations.
Mm.
When they're expecting to recognise revenue, when they're expecting to see return on investment, and dates move more often than not at the moment, and by things which are out of our control. That's a
Yeah.
really hard one.
So with and I just know from my own experience of, working in similar industries, you not for as long as you though, but with those timeframes of like you mentioned about compressors and the different like major components that are actually manufactured offshore and then brought to Australia as well. So with that, the lead times with that, because that's when we've got your expectations at one part, but the realism at the other part as to how long things are actually taking in Australia is that small drop in the ocean. And because we are so far away, like to get things here is obviously a logistical difficulties that go with that
Yeah.
as well. So how are they sort of being managed that you've seen?
Now I think we're about to see the real impetus of that or the importance of that happen because there's been lots of talk over the last few years. Now we're getting close to placing orders. We just
Mm.
recently placed an order for what will be the biggest transformer in Powerlink's fleet, and it's 3.5 years delivery.
Yeah, right.
When we start looking at the 500 kV, we're looking at 4.5 to 5 years. And everyone's expecting connection around 2030. We're in 25 now,
Yeah. Yeah.
and that doesn't allow for anything to go wrong on the way. I suppose without getting politically involved, we all hope for a bit of peace in Ukraine, but if that happens, that will be the biggest impact on the market ever because suddenly they're going to want to rebuild it.
Mm.
And you
Yeah.
imagine a network reinforcement project is going to take second place to reconstructing a country that's without power. You can't do anything about it. You just keep your eye on it and hope they get peace, but hope we get our equipment in time.
So how is that being managed when the expectations are being set? Is it actually just like people doing pie in the sky stuff, or are people actually having those proper conversations to understand what's actually really going on in the global scheme of things?
We have people who actually keep an eye on this from a global perspective. We are in contact with all the international OEMs weekly. We buy
Okay.
things from them every day, but
Yeah.
some of the stuff that we need now is unique, such as 500 kV. This will be the first time it's been used on our network.
Wow.
So we're looking at the lead times, and that when we were told they were 4.5, 5 years,
Mm.
it was a bit of a wow moment.
Mm.
So we're doing what we can where possible, where we can at least pay deposit to book a slot in the production factory.
Yeah.
Because the longer you leave it, the longer it is before you get that slot, and the longer you leave it, they're very clever. And in fact, they leave price until day of delivery. They don't give you a fixed price now. They know the
Right.
market has the hold over us at the moment, but we have to monitor it regularly, report on it regularly. Our CEO is off at the moment, holding meetings with the major OEMs around Europe, making sure that everything's okay.
Mm.
Relationship management comes huge. It's one
Mm.
of Powerlink's strengths, and one thing they've always believed in: the strength of relationships gets you things faster than just trying to put money on the table.
Yeah.
So we try our best to stay connected throughout the globe as we can.
Yeah. Which is important because it's understanding that by strengthening those relationships and it helps with that collaboration and being able for Powerlink to be able to deliver what Powerlink needs to deliver as well for the network and the end users. So
In every respect, when we look at what I've seen over my years in the business, the ones who've got the best relationships tend to go best. And
yeah.
relationships shouldn't always be left until you're working with someone. When you're working with someone, you're forced into a relationship, and it can be as good or bad as the contract dictates. But the hard part and the bit that requires the most effort, probably from a personal point of view, is maintaining relationships with the people that you're not working with in contract,
Mm.
because you never know when you're going to need each other. And it's
Yes.
so much easier to do business when you can pick up the phone and say, "Hello, Bob," and they don't go, "Who are you?" They know who you are. You can have that conversation. And then when it comes to the point of going to tender, it's not starting from afresh.
Mm.
And that's really helped me over the years.
It's a big part of it. And I mean, I know from my own experience as well with managing contracts and stuff, it's all built on relationships of being able to have those conversations and sort issues out and just have that transparency and openness. So with that, with being able to form those relationships, like other than picking up the phone, what sort of recommendations do you have for people to be able to establish good working relationships with suppliers and key stakeholders and the different parties that need to be involved in project delivery?
Obviously, phone calls make things much easier. Teams is a good one these days. The fact that you can sit and actually talk to the person and see them. There's
Yeah.
nothing better than a cup of coffee with them, but that's not
Yeah.
always possible when they're based all over the world.
Yes.
Um, just the fact that if we have any supplier roadshows, we make sure that we make a point of going around and catching up with the guys. They're quite often at things like E&A. There's big events going on, so get there and make sure you spend as much time at the networking functions as you do just going and looking at a new piece of plant and listen to plenaries. There's as much to be gained by going and spending half an hour out the back and catching up again with all the suppliers and reconnecting with those that you dealt with years ago,
Mm.
and new ones that are coming on the scene. And we're
Yeah.
at a point at the moment where what I'm trying to do, we've got a lot of new staff that are coming new to the industry.
Mm.
So I'm using suppliers that we are either tendering with or suppliers from anywhere. If they want to come and give us a presentation about what you do. So it just increase that knowledge base at the lowest level possible.
Yeah.
And then, oh, that's what you mean by drilling a foundation. That's what you mean by tree cutting. That's what you meant by this. It's not. It's all totally agnostic, and we make it available to everyone. So you can't be seen as doing favoritism. But it's just nice to get people to come in. People are very keen to come and tell people what they do.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it just helps broaden that knowledge base.
And it helps give them the opportunity to, instead of it just be words on a paper, to actually talk about what they do. Because sometimes,
Yeah.
when you can get in front of someone and talk about it, it has more of an impact than just words on a paper as
Oh,
well.
some of the guys, especially the guys in the different civil aspects we use, it's not their strong point writing things down.
No.
But give them a PowerPoint with 5 or 6 photos of their machinery, and they talk for 2 days.
Yeah.
And people who haven't seen that before, that's a huge bonus for them. Yeah, the younger engineers like to sit and read tomes of documents, but I did one recently just around a couple of different contractors that do vegetation management, and a couple of our guys come over to us and said, "Yeah, I didn't know that's what it meant. We thought it was just cutting trees,
Ah,
which it used to be.
yeah.
And these days, you're looking at a point where you have to guarantee that you're getting productivities because everything's measured against budget these days and time. But then
Mm.
some of the smaller points are that the equipment's now fitted with a shapefile, so they know exactly what tree to cut. And at the end of the day, they can produce a shapefile and say, "This is exactly what I did today," and that's uploaded and it's with the client, and now it's closed off with the environmental agency straight away.
Mm.
So it's not just the man with the chainsaw cutting the tree anymore. That's
No.
probably the easiest part of it.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So we get a few of those. A few different contractors from different walks of life have come in, and wow. And I still maintain one of the things that I've looked at all my life is to learn one new thing every day.
Yes.
Yeah, and done that.
Yeah, well, and when you learn
Still,
about what someone else does and, the different aspects for it, it's not just one thing, it's, a multitude of things
yeah,
that
you suddenly come away and ask yourself a question for a few hours, and yeah, that's
yeah.
what they meant.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So with your roles that you've had like obviously many, many years experience in leadership roles and, senior project managers to now being a program director as well. So what I'd love to hear about is, from that leadership perspective, how do you actually build strong, cohesive teams to be able to deliver, like you're working in high stakes environments, high value, very complex. How do you build those strong, cohesive teams?
Yeah, I've been very fortunate in the fact I've had a few opportunities to build what they term high performing teams. Um, and I was fortunate to have very good role models as leaders. And I pick a bit from each of them
Mm.
and bits from other walk of life, such as like rugby coaching or scuba diving instructing. There's different ways of dealing with people and talking to people. But the one which I found probably the most effective is that you need a big team, but there's no point trying to employ one. So if I needed to get to 140, I would look to try and employ 3 or 4. They'd be my key team, and get each of them to bring 2,
Mm.
and get each of those 12 now to bring 2. And suddenly, in a short space of time, you've got a team that's known to each other, trusted, and starts to perform much quicker. Rather than
Mm.
going out on day one and trying to employ the 160 or 140, get
Mm.
the 4, get them working, encourage them to go and bring 2 each, and suddenly it exponentially grows with trusted people.
Yeah.
That's been the real big thing.
So it's kind of like a referral network, essentially, that
It,
people know
it, it does,
people. So bring
yeah.
your people in who you know. So
Bring your people with what it is. Exactly right. If you have to go out
yeah,
in the market and look for people, the ones who aren't employed are probably the ones you don't want to take. There's a reason
Mm.
why they're not employed at the moment.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's always a challenge, that one, getting the right people. At the end of the day, you can go and get people. I've maintained for a number of years now. If I say I'm not interested, it's not the right word, but if they tick the technical compliance box in the need to haves, I'll let the technical people deal with that. Every interview I want, the main things I want is what drives them to come to work.
Mm.
Why are you here? Where do you see yourself in 5 years? I'm looking for how they're going to be a team fit. It's no good
Yeah.
them being a subject matter expert and will not fit with the team we've got. It will either disrupt or break what we've got.
Yeah.
I'd rather someone who's not as prominent in the technical field, but is a good team fit. I will get more out of them, and they
Mm.
will get more out of the role they're in.
Mm. That's a part that I see is missing a lot, as well as that, like people are now starting to focus on culture and everything, but it's not actually about having that good team fit. So it's sort of that missing part to be able to create that cohesiveness as well, because essentially we're at work more than we're at home, and you need to be able to get on well with people, especially when you're in those high pressure environments as well. So
Yeah, and you would know firsthand one thing, no matter how hard it is, I do insist that we have fun on the way. Because if you don't, you're going to go stir crazy. Yeah, you have to bring some fun into it. One of the things which I'm about to embark on next week is I'm giving a presentation to the team from a TED talk that I attended in Sydney, where probably say 12 years ago, people were really hanging on the fact if you've got a good IQ, you're going to get a good job. And then
mm,
over the last few years, it's reflected itself in more of an EQ because you need to think, well, hang on, I have to understand how people work as well. And the latest buzzword, and it really resonated with me, was AQ. So on their adaptability quotient.
mm,
And that is particularly, I wouldn't say problematic, but challenging in a very long established business like Powerlink.
mm,
People's ability to be able to adapt to change
mm.
is not as it would be in other areas
No.
for very good reasons. But as a major project delivery suite, if we can't get used to what we think is the target today being a different target tomorrow,
Yeah.
we're going to struggle. So I'm going to try and embark on some training and some bit of leadership around adaptability,
Yes.
just so that at the moment I know what my program looks like, but it needs one governmental decision and the order could all change.
Yeah.
And it's no good for me everyone throwing their hands up in the air and saying, "Oh, I can't cope with this," because you have to. So,
Yeah.
so I'm thinking that could be a new challenge for me. One more thing I've learned, but it's something I'm going to take on.
Well, adaptability is a bit of that resilience, isn't it? And your
It is,
resilience is actually being able to handle change. That if
yeah,
something changes and it doesn't end up the way that you think, okay, how do you bounce back from it and get back on track? So,
yeah. No, it's going to be a big thing for us, and we know within a programmatic viewpoint I'm looking now, things will change. So,
absolutely.
I can't predict the change. I can have a
No.
rough idea when things are coming. Like there's a federal election on the horizon, that
Yes.
could be a big instigator of change. So
Yes.
it's like, hang around, hurry up, don't wait, or hurry up and wait. We
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
keep going keep going where you're going. Don't stop. Don't be feared. Don't be fearful of change is the big one I have to warn people of.
Well, the thing is, change is part of life, isn't it? That's actually a given with life. We all change. We don't actually stay the same because if we're not changing, we're not growing. So,
You'll be quoting change is the only constant next.
well, I never said constant, but it is part
But
of
it
life.
does happen lots, yeah. And it does,
Yeah.
but people who've worked in we have a number of people who've worked in the same business for 50 years plus.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
And that's typical of the transmission industry worldwide.
Yes.
It's a very stable establishment.
Mm,
Standards don't change that often.
mm.
Yeah, people challenge them, and they don't always change. They don't like it when I come along because all I do is look for change.
Well, the
Just
last couple of years gave us lots of change. So,
it's given us a lot.
yes, which I'm sure threw a few people off their perch. So,
They're not here anymore. They're gone. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So with the what you've seen over the years and stuff, what's sort of something that, like is a bit of a standout for you that you've seen over the years, whether it's a project that's gone well, whether it's one that hasn't gone so well, and what sort of, something that just sticks out in your head as something that's happened over the years, good, bad, or indifferent.
I suppose there's a few really. I was lucky enough to work on the Channel Tunnel back in the UK.
Okay. Yeah, nice.
That is an engineering marvel. Look at that, and I think, well, my bit part involvement that was very small. I was responsible for the reconnection of power and comms after the fire in 13th of December 1996. That's how much it sticks in my mind.
Wow. Okay.
Yep. And having to get that done against the clock in the middle of the Channel Tunnel, knowing I'm claustrophobic and stuck underground for 24 hours with a crew of 12 English and 12 French, and they could not speak to each other. It
Yeah.
was a fairly decent challenge,
Yes.
but I think the pressure of that drove us all to perform exceptionally, and we got it done. When you come out, there's just a nice feeling of, yeah, it was good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, we've had a few along the way. All my years working with electric, I think I was given 5 firsts of technology to deliver: GIS substations and the longest live line transmission upgrade through the length of the Eyre Peninsula. I look at those and think they were only achieved by good people working smart. As a project director, I know as you look back and you think, what was my bit part that made that work? And it's probably just engendering that teamwork.
Mm.
There's nothing I could do over and above over what they did every day from a technical point of view.
Yeah.
The fact that we encouraged a rigid debrief at the end of each 2 week swing. What went well, what didn't go so well, what needs changing, what doesn't.
Mm.
The guys on the ground were totally anti that for a while. Oh, this is a pain in the ass. I want to get home. They did it. And then at the start of each next block, we'd sit through and read through what we changed and what we haven't changed.
Mm.
Started on revision A and we finished it 12 months later on, I think it was revision S. So lots of changes going through. And at the end of it, when we did a bit of this was before the days of these online surveys, we sat down and said, lads, just tell us something. What can we do if to do it again? They said, we've never done these revision reviews in such detail before. Keep doing it.
Yes.
So that was the feedback. And that was run by a 70-year-old guy at the time. He
Oh,
just
wow.
wanted to do it because he wanted to try and make things better.
Yeah. Wow.
So they're good. I suppose Project Energy Connect threw up a few curly ones for me. We're looking at dealing with things which were totally out of our control. Started off having to cross the river. We were throwing stones across 5 meters. And when we got there, it's 1.5 kilometers wide because of the floods. Having to deal with bits and pieces like that.
Yeah.
Physically easy, contractually hard. People saying they like to use the word, well, a competent contractor should have known.
Yeah.
Not quite sure how you predict a flood, which was caused in Queensland. It got let off down the river. But yeah, there was some good challenging moments.
Yes.
Having
Absolutely.
first of kinds technically are good, but at the time they're a bit of a pain, especially for the guys that really got to work it out. I just go along and throw a stone over the fence and say, try this, and it's like the boy who kicks the beehive. I kick it and run away.
Yeah.
But you only got good teams. They take it all with a grain of salt, and sometimes it works.
Yeah.
So yeah, they've been the big challenges for me. We've had a couple of big contractual innovations I've been part of over the year, where we've put in non-compliant bids, going from an EPC to putting in a consortium, and you start doing that, and that changes the world,
Yeah.
especially when the client's not expecting it,
No.
and then they have to consider it, and then they're awarding it because it's going to save them lots of money and time.
Mm.
But no, that was a interesting moment. So yeah, I've been lucky to be in some good. I've unfortunately not been involved in anything nasty,
Mm.
but I think that comes down to good planning as well.
Well, there's the 5 Ps, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
Prior planning prevents piss poor
Poor
performance. So,
performance. Yep.
yes. Yes.
Yeah,
Or
and
16,
that
whatever it is. So,
that
yeah.
does that. Never a truer word spoken in jest.
Yeah.
It really does help. One of the hardest things we have, probably easier for me now being on the client side, but as a contractor, you don't have that time. You get
Mm.
awarded and start tomorrow.
Yeah.
And everyone's at the end of every job you go to, what would have helped you more? Oh, more time to plan. That doesn't always follow through to happening. So part of what I'm instigating now in Powerlink with this latest program works is what can we do to de-risk the projects?
Mm.
So we're looking at some strategic procurement of equipment like Tesmex and stringing equipment. If we buy them, there's no point us waiting to the point once we award a contract, they're due to start pretty soon. And if they go
Mm.
and order this gear, it takes another year. They're in delay.
Mm-hmm.
So if I buy it now, have it sitting here for when they start, they can rent it back off me, or I can free issue it. But the gear is available, so we've de-risked it,
Mm.
by 12 months.
Yeah.
And it doesn't always put us in the most comfortable contractual position. It's like buying tower steel. The best people to buy tower steel is probably the contractor. But
Yeah.
if they get awarded the contract late, they haven't got time to do it. You increase a few interface management risks, but they're much smaller than the risk of not having material or plant arrive.
Well, and the other part too is as well is that from a contractor's perspective, which we've both worked as, for PCs and
Yeah,
stuff, but from a contractor's perspective, you might go through a tender process and that tender process, it might be 6 months, it might be 4 years, and you can't hold hold everything just on the off chance that you're going to be awarded this tender. And it is literally once you're awarded that contract, you're on the clock then, because then you've got the your budget, you've got your time frame, you've got your LD set, you've got everything that you need to do. And, you know, like everything that's happening in the global market that you touched on earlier, if you then have to wait for a manufacturing slot to then get pushed
too
in,
late. Yep.
it's you're already behind the curveball. So
I will say that the contractors that we're engaging with now looking for PC on these major projects, I sat down and briefed them all individually and said, understand, I'm not here to try and take revenue away from you. I'm trying to give myself delivery certainty.
mm,
And that is my remit from the boss, from the CEO. You give me certainty over delivery. That's the most important thing in your role.
mm,
So that doesn't mean you can go and carte blanche and spend what you like to get there, because you can always do that, but change things. Be an instigator of change, which is what I enjoy anyway.
yeah,
So the fact that we get the ability to go and order the major long lead time items, it's done. Things are on order. The big 500 kV transformer or 500 MVA transformer going out to Calliope is ordered now,
yeah, yeah,
and it's not required on site for another 2.5 years. So it will get here. If we left that to contract award time in a year's time, it's missed the date.
not going to happen.
So it doesn't take much, but it's still a change of mindset.
Yes.
From mainly from the contractors. TNSPs always like to do it because they believe there's this reduction in compound margins, which adds money to the job, which sometimes is worth it. 'Cause it takes, you never get rid of the risk, but it actually gives you a bit of breathing space. But here, it's better for us to take it on to get that delivery certainty.
And that's something that doesn't seem to be happening, like Powerlinks obviously have learnt this and, going through and executing some strategies to be able to do that, but that doesn't seem to translate with
It's not normal.
other construction contracts
No, it
essentially.
doesn't. No, it doesn't.
Yeah.
Because they go for full EPC wrap, risk wrapped EPC, which
Mm.
puts all the construction procurement into the EPC.
Yeah,
But then if they award late, they've missed the opportunity to deliver on time.
correct.
So day one, the contractors submitting extensions of time,
Which
and then
everyone's already on the back foot then, aren't they?
and then everyone's in. Go back to our original statement that when you can work in a relationship style contract, no matter what form it is, it's a much nicer place to be than adversarial contractual bloody table banging every week.
Yeah, yeah,
But the contractor has to do that to protect themselves from LDs.
yes.
All the time LDs are applicable. You have to have a mechanism for protection. So
So
collaboration is definitely the way forward. Um,
absolutely.
the way myself and Dean have described it though is quite simple. The collaboration will only come as a result of trust plus relationship. If you haven't
Mm,
got those two, you're never going to get collaboration. So work on the relationship, that
mm,
breeds trust, then you can get in towards working in collaboration.
mm.
So therefore, if you're not in contract with people and you haven't started working on these relationship ideals, you're never going to go into a contract. Everyone can write collaboration on a piece of paper. What does it mean?
Yes.
What does it mean? And it
Mm,
comes down to, it will always come down to the mechanics around cost of, it's nice being your friend, but what's it going to cost me? Are liquidated damages still on the table? If you're not getting them applied, why do you need them? If you've got
yeah,
liquidated damages, how about countering that with an early completion bonus? You show me one side of the coin, now show me the other.
yeah,
So we're having those conversations now around potential KPIs and KRAs as we do the contract formation, so they know what they're obliged or we want them to hit on the way through. We would love nothing more than pay an early completion bonus
mm.
and not actually be looking down damages, because that's not nice for anyone, as you know.
No, no, no.
It sets the wrong intent from day one, doesn't it?
Well, and the thing is that it's like that big sticks hanging over your head from the very beginning. So everyone's scrambling then, and it just adds that another layer of pressure for people and in an already pressure cooker environment. So
Yeah. So as we know, catch more flies with honey than vinegar.
absolutely, absolutely.
So yeah, it's a big thing for us, and we are very much a relationship based company.
Yeah, yeah, which is great to see because more companies need to adopt that. So if you were to give some recommendations to other companies to model what you're doing, what would that be?
I suppose it depends very much on what their determination of success is. If
Mm.
their picture of success means I'm going to deliver these jobs and make myself appealing to a larger buyer who's going to come and buy me, they're chasing revenue, not necessarily chasing profit.
Mm.
Medium tier companies who are out there looking to make a good living, look after their staff, strongly recommend being as collaborative as possible,
Mm.
not trying to run before you can walk.
Yeah.
I've had a few companies recently. I've been attending meet the buyer events where they say, "Yeah, well, we'll be your next EPC." I said, "You haven't worked for us yet."
Yeah.
Ah, yeah, I know. I said, "Just love your enthusiasm. Sit down, stop, breathe, work out what you can do to help us. Do that, do it well. Then we'll see what the next step is. Don't
Yeah.
try and be everything to everyone on day one
Mm.
because they see everything at the moment. And they see the fact that we're going to be in central Queensland spending multiple $1 billion over the next 10 years. It doesn't mean we're a golden goose.
No.
No, you're gonna have to work. You're gonna have to work hard to get your money. But if you do it right and you do the right job, you're going to get your money.
Mm.
That's the bit. So it's just take it slowly. Start pay real attention when we go out onto ICN. We give quite clear indications what we're looking for. We're looking for relationship style contracts.
Mm.
Answer the exam question. Don't just get excited and come back with the biggest thing possible.
Mm. Yeah.
So yeah, that would be my tip at the moment.
And I think the thing is too is that because you're a state-owned corporation, so people
Yes.
think because it's a state-owned corporation, there's this endless pit of money, which isn't the
Yeah, they
case.
think you're the gravy train,
Yeah.
which you're not, and I'm the opposite of that, as you would know. I'd pay
Yeah.
everyone what they're due, but it's not a free handout.
No.
And one of the things that we look for, and we encourage anyone who's will listen to this, we've got an ICN expression of interest out till the end of April for 54 packages, massive.
Wow. Yeah, right.
But as we say to them, you won't be contracting to PowerLink. We will give this to our principal contractors, and we will make sure they engage you locally.
Yeah.
So we're doing a lot out, and we've been running a piece for probably 2 months now, doing local engagement and engaging with the local contractors and those who have gone through the ICM process. They ask
Mm.
questions, so we go and meet them and explain and help them fill out the form. So we've had 362 recipients as of today, or
Wow.
respondents. It's a very good tool for us to be able to respond in one area and everyone can see it rather than going out with separate messaging.
Yeah.
Because that's one tip I will give everyone is watch messaging. Messaging can trip you up. So I'm trying to do not as least as possible, but I'm trying to get it as coordinated as possible.
Which is important because when it's coordinated, it's a targeted approach rather than a very sporadic approach. So
I think I must have had this over the last 10 years. Each of my CEOs have said, I don't want to see me or you in the paper.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. It was that's very evident at the moment. You can see what's going on in Queensland. And people are taking pot shots from all around because their expectation wasn't correct. So they're
Mm.
trying to use us as the leverage to reset everyone else's expectations, which is
Mm.
never much fun. You're guilty before you can get a chance to defend yourself.
Yeah, which doesn't work. So
So by using ICN and I and my staff, we go out and attend briefings rather than standing up on a stage and telling everyone what's going on because you might be wrong. And then
mm.
someone will shoot you, and next thing you know, you're on the front page of the Courier Mail.
Hmm.
It's an ever changing uh, landscape at the moment with timing of federal elections. Yeah,
Oh
I
yeah.
have no doubt the work's all going to go ahead. Just not sure of the timing at this stage.
No, and there's so many things that, everything gets put into a bit of a holding pattern when there's a federal election and state elections because people need to see sort of what way the deck falls as well.
Yeah.
So
So
mm.
yeah, a bit of a hold your breath moment at the moment,
Yes,
but it doesn't mean
absolutely.
we're not continuing out working with potential local contractors and making sure they understand the brief and the scope. So then once we pick principal contractors, we take those guys out and say, hey, these are the people that are available to you.
So you're sort of Powerlink's essentially kind of
We're not
pre-qualifying.
pre-qualifying them. We're just going through and checking out that for smaller contractors, when they see a big project go past, I want a piece of that. We're sort of saying, be careful what you wish for. Do you know what that entitles to come and work for a principal contractor? When you
Mm.
start looking as the principals you've worked for to get onto their safety scheme, means that you can't just go and use the grade you've been driving around a paddock with for the last 10 years without having the
Hmm.
safety stops and the EROPs and this and that. And they go, oh, I don't want that. So it's going to cost you 200 grand to qualify that one piece of plant to go and get a job which you may or may not get.
Yeah.
Do you really want to do that? Yeah, I do. I want to grow. I want my son to have the business. Okay, or yeah, actually, no, I'm quite happy just doing the paddocks.
Yeah.
So
Mm.
it's trying to put things in perspective. But if you don't give everyone the chance to understand that,
Yes.
you get the accusations, oh, I was excluded.
Mm.
Those that do want to grow, we're trying to get them in front of some of the government grants so they can help grow their business as well to get to the
Yeah.
required
Okay.
standard. Some of
Yes.
them have to understand the effort and cost and time required to put in a decent tender. It's not just a flyer, oh, I'll have a go at that now. Next thing you know, you're 200 grand in the hole putting a big tender together and you
Mm.
didn't win it. So there's the government offered training courses, and so we don't give them, we point them in the right direction where we can. Lots of the local regional economic development boards help, like Gladstone and Rockhampton,
Mm.
and you've got Advanced Rockhampton, you've got the Gladstone Alliance as well. So there's lots of good companies out there, and it's all about, again, getting these guys to understand, get your relationships right, work out
Yeah.
what you want, work out if you really want it,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and if you
Yeah.
do, what's the gap analysis to get you there.
And I mean, the thing is that approach of investing in suppliers early in the piece before projects have actually really kicked off while they're still going through the different stages before
Yep.
construction starts is valuable because it's actually giving people some transparency and visibility as to what's involved. So they're not scrambling when it does come time to,
That's the idea. This is the longest EOI I think we've had. It's been 2.5 months. But
mm,
it's because we had that luxury of time. We started it early rather
yeah,
than starting it late. We, we're very mindful of the fact any communication we give is it's as good as we know at the time. Don't hold me to it. There's a project going to start. I can't guarantee the start date.
yeah,
I can't.
yeah,
So don't go saying no. Steve said it's not going to get you anywhere because I know
no,
full well I haven't said that because
yes,
I don't know myself. I
mm,
know myself. There's a window that it should hopefully occur within, but you just don't know what it's going to be.
mm. But this is a big part that if more people spent this time at the front end to help people, it would help prevent a lot of that scrambling as well that we've seen over our times of trying
Yep.
to then find suitable suppliers.
Oh,
So,
it's a massive thing. The best chance to affect any change or innovation in a project is at the front end. You can't do it at the end.
no.
Right. So if you've got a luxury of time, impetus happening at the front end, and it
Mm,
will reap benefits at the back end.
yeah.
Is the way it's worked. It's worked for me lots.
So is there requirements that are being set as part of, I mean, you've got this massive scope of works, multiple billions of dollars happening over the next 10 years. Is there any requirements, mandatory requirements for procurement from, social enterprise, local capability, if it's
Loads.
women-owned businesses, like any of those sorts of things?
Um, the targets aren't confirmed yet,
Yeah,
but
okay.
we have a local engagement participation plan. We have local Indigenous participation plan. We have Australian industry participation. There's
Mm,
heaps of compliance that we have to go through.
thanks. Yeah.
Of course, what we have to go through has to be, we can't achieve that without our nominated principal contractor achieving it.
Mm,
So we're making sure everyone we got can flow through. But it's
yes.
not no good just handing it off and say, go and make that happen. We will be with them
Yes.
to help them on the way through. We had this challenge on PEC where there's a local unemployment rate of less than 2%.
Mm.
So how do you get people to come and work for you when they're happy where they are? Because
Yeah.
not many people out of work.
No.
So we brought in a legacy scheme there where we decreed that we would train 100 people in 2 transmission line that will be in the area for the next 5 years afterwards. So you
Mm.
put training around those. There weren't enough people locally to fill that, so we had to bring them in from outside of the local area to bring
Mm.
them into the scheme. But they then will be there for any other jobs that go on. There's 132 linesmen which will be there.
Mm.
We're looking at similar, not the same, but similar ideas up here because again, Gladstone and Rockhampton regions have got very low unemployment.
Yeah.
They're very big areas, lots of industry up there. People are working. I guess we also have to be cognizant of the fact that I think I mentioned to you before is the coffee shop example. That suddenly they sell 50 copies a day, and these big projects happen, they might sell 400 a day.
Yeah.
But it's their choice, and we never tell them what to do. But just be careful. Don't suddenly go out and take out an extra mortgage and put another building on the side of it, because in 3 years' time we're gone, and you'll
Yeah.
be left with that bigger building.
Yeah.
So It's not saying don't do it. We cannot, we will not offer any, advice on that. Just, we've seen it elsewhere. Me and you have seen this. So people go out there, they go and take out. They've got the world's biggest coffee shop. It's lovely for 3 years. In 3 years' time, they're looking at the same four walls and four people a day
Yeah.
coming back in. So
Yeah.
it's important. That's your social license. That you have the duty to make people aware. You can't,
Mm.
if they decide to go and do it off their own back, all well and good. But we have a social duty to them to not say go and do this.
Exactly. And that's, with and being in Gladstone myself for almost 3 years at Curtis, and then what Gladstone was like when I was there, and it was this buzzing town. And then after the gas projects finished, it was a ghost town.
Yep.
And, the businesses that were left, it was great while it was going on for the years that we were there. But afterwards it's like, well, what do we do? So
Yeah.
it's not easy for the people who are still left there.
So we are now just through the initial kickoff of a social impact assessment, which we're carrying out, which obviously covers things like that,
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
which is
Yeah.
a good thing, which has developed over the years. Because I can assure you, in 1988, that wasn't thought about that much.
No, no, no. It's come in, do
We're
your job
coming,
and go.
we're coming. We finished. Goodbye.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's
That would have
right.
been it. I can probably remember the first time that we did this would have been about '96, putting big water mains through the Lake District in areas of natural beauty, where we had to put out caravans to go and inform local communities of what was happening and where the information centres were to deal with it.
Oh,
But
yeah.
but now, when you look at what happens now, the level of detail is huge.
Oh, there's a lot to it.
Yeah,
Absolutely. And especially with what you're dealing with at the moment. So,
yeah. It's not a bad thing. It's a good thing. But just understanding how much horsepower it actually takes to do it justice.
yes. Yes. Well, there's a huge volume of stuff before you even get a shovel in the ground as to, the design, the approvals, the feasibility, like the financial approvals, all of that stuff, environmental approvals. So there's so
I
much that goes
maintain
into
building
it
this
for
will be the easy part.
years. Yeah, the building is, I
The
mean,
building is easy. It's compared to getting it to the start line is the hard part.
it's the hard part.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah.
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 And you can use that time. It's almost like a risk mitigation strategy. The best risk being eliminate when you're going through these approvals and processes. You can think, well, actually, we won't do that. Then. That's, that's going to save us a problem later on. So you might refine work methods now while you're going through.
Mm.
So it does give you the opportunity, but it's never a dull moment. I can assure you.
No, and then especially because you have so many stakeholders, if there's, federal, state, local, there's industry, there's different stakeholders involved in, like actually being able to go, well, where shall we put a power line? How many properties has it got to go through? What's the infrastructure needed to support it? Who do we
Yep.
need to seek approval from? So,
Yeah, yeah, and you start looking at how many local landowners are ex-polys and the influence of some of the local landowners.
yes. And then
But
working out compensation rates for them to be able to have a line go through their paddock and
oh,
whatnot.
the line's the easy part. Then you've got guys building wind farms who have got to put in
Yes.
uh, the graded payments. So the guys get the turbine lands get X dollars per turbine. The guy on the adjacent property gets X, which is less, and the guy next one gets less. The one outside there gets nothing. So who's going to block your approval? I think we have probably as many people involved in what we call delivery launch, which are the approvals teams, the finance teams, as probably more than what we'll have during construction.
Yeah. Many moving parts, that's
Yeah,
why.
there is. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So, in closing, what I'd love to hear is if you've got any closing comments or statements or thoughts that you've always gone, if I had the opportunity to just share this thing with people, it would be this. What would that be?
I try my hardest every day. This is a personal thing: is not taking yourself too seriously.
Mm.
You can be serious about what you're doing, but when you start getting into management in particular, no matter how bad the day is, your outward impression affects others hugely.
Yes.
So having to come to work after having a bad day, your cat died or whatever, and everything else, you just have to come to work and you have to keep that smile on your face because people will react to that.
Mm.
And if people see a leader in times of adversity who can still uh, manage a glimmer of a smile or crack a joke every now and then, they think, oh, we're okay.
Mm.
I was lucky enough to get that comment the other day. They said, "Oh God, how do you keep smiling through all this?" I said, "Well, what else am I going to do? Be angry?" I said, "Yeah, well, that's a wasted emotion, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's don't yeah." I've been lucky of all my top leaders over the years will work themselves hard, but they always know when, hey, lower valve, just
Yeah,
go
yeah,
for a walk, go for a walk. Yeah, if you think you're boiling up inside, people outside will see that,
yes.
and your team don't need to see you. I suppose there's a difference between responding and reacting. Be a responder, not a reactor.
Mm, I
So
like that.
when you've written that grumpy email, do not send.
Yeah.
Write it, close it so it sits in your drafts. Go for a walk, go home, go to bed. Look at it again in the morning.
Yes.
Yeah, become a responder rather than a reactor is probably the one I'm trying to really make sure that I maintain that.
Which is great. I love that. And I'm just going to quickly ask one more thing, but
Mhm.
with the qualities of a leader, what do you see are exemplary qualities of a good leader?
Good listener doesn't mean you agree with everything you're being told. At
Mm,
least give someone the right to have their viewpoint. Um, One thing I probably found it harder in my early years of leading, not because you want to be rude, but you're so full of enthusiasm to try and get the answer out. It's nothing more than that, but you have to just say, yeah, yeah, yeah. But
yes.
then don't be afraid at the end of it to say to take, hey, God, I wanted to say something earlier on. When you can show frailty but still in control, people go, oh yeah, he gets it.
Yeah.
You cannot be robotic. At the end of the day, people are people, and keeping it personable makes a difference. Go back as simple things, presentations. Well, you know me, I I'm happy with 4 lines on a whiteboard, and that'll
Yeah.
do me for an hour.
Yeah.
I don't want to stand there and read dot points word for word verbatim because the people aren't listening to you; they're trying to read the screen.
Yeah.
So if you're a leader who's trying to take a team on a journey, I guess one of the best you can go on them is like a you have to be able to sell the story, and people will come on a journey with you. If you just read it at one tone, people are probably not that keen to come and join, thinking, "What's this journey going to be like?"
Mm,
And you have to be honest. There's going to be good days. There's going to be bad days. But at the end of the day, we're all in it together.
correct.
And if you can sell the version that we're all in it until we all get out together, and that might come down to the fact of you all be in the office and come 4 o'clock, you've all finished, but your mate's sitting there looking like he's going to be there till 7. Offer him a hand. He might not want a hand, but the fact that you walk across the office and say, "Mate, I'm going home early, but you're staying late. Can I help you?"
Yeah.
will mean the world to him.
Mm,
And then you suddenly, oh, hang on, this is a team here now. This is a team that does. It's not evolved around individuals. It's about being collective.
so important. And it's such
Yeah,
a missing part.
yeah, it is. It doesn't take much to correct. It
No,
really doesn't.
no.
Just it's attitudinal rather than capability.
Yeah.
Anyone can do it, but if you're not of that mindset. I suppose I've been very lucky doing a lot of this through sport. You know, there's no point being a lone charge.
No.
You need your teammates around you,
Well, you
and
can't
that's
achieve
me.
it on your own, so you need the team
No,
to achieve it. It's like playing football. You can't get the football to the end of the line without the whole team. So
yeah, yeah. So no, that's why I try and approach it,
love it. Such value and so important and something that more people need to take on board for sure. So
and they can just do it, people. Just do
just
it.
do it. That's
Just
it.
do it.
Absolutely. Be a
No,
Nike. Just
I
do
think
it.
Nike did it. Yeah, they
Yeah,
haven't gone.
yeah.
They haven't gone too bad.
No, that's right. No, I love it. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us. It's been an honor and a privilege to have you and share your incredible amount of knowledge and wisdom. So thank you for joining us.
Thank you for the opportunity. It's been great.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to this episode today. I hope this conversation gave you something that you